Greetings and welcome to our Season 2 of Spiritual Awareness Journey program, a virtual spiritual talk platform where the practical application of all things spiritual in our daily living is shared and discussed by experienced speakers from all walks of life, as well as by our special guests, our realized souls called Mahatmas. This program is brought to you by the Manav Dharam YouTube channel. I'm your host, Audrey Fowler, and we are delighted to welcome you from all around the world to spend a precious moment with us as we address our Episode-18 topic, consciousness. Alive as human beings, we spiritual beings are aware of our own presence as a person. When we awake, we go to work, we sleep, we dream, we even experience deep sleep. And when we awake, we know who we are. We know our name, we know where we are, we know what we do. As we identify ourselves with all these many labels and believe this is us. So there is a remembrance at each state of the experience. There is an awareness. Is that consciousness? To see a movie, we need a silver screen. To make or hear the music, we need the air. To connect cyberly, we need the space, all the means through which we can experience a creative expression. Is consciousness the means, the cosmic fabric within which energy itself expresses itself? Is consciousness within each speck of creation? We know we are conscious beings and so assume that within each one of us humans there is consciousness, an aspect of our own self. In science, they discover that there is a hidden power in observation. When one applies focused attention, they notice, observed, energy waves turn into energy particle. Is this because of the all-knowing presence within the cosmos? Saints say that only through spiritual knowledge can we human beings awaken our consciousness, after which we have the ability to then become conscious of our own consciousness. And through profound concentration, through spiritual meditation, we can even achieve the highest state of consciousness, the God state, known as Supreme Consciousness. Our experienced panel, our speaker Dr. J.P. Agarwal from India and our special guest speaker Mahatma Angirabaiji will elaborate on this very intriguing phenomena, consciousness. We hope our speakers will bring and inspire you to become more curious about this hidden knowing, this conscious power within our own spirit, within our own self, and that you would wish to inquire about the spiritual knowledge, and by receiving the knowledge, start your own practical spiritual awareness journey. And together, as the one race, the human race, aware of our own awareness, achieving our highest state of consciousness, reach our true goal, enlightenment, and abide in a spiritual enlightened world where truth, consciousness, contentment, and bliss become our normal state of beingness. We are delighted to announce that there are changes now in the format. It's a 45 minutes program, and if time permits, we will open the platform for a question and answer session at the end of the presentation of the speakers. The audience will get the opportunity to ask questions to our guest speaker, Dr. J.P. Agarwal. He was so gracious to provide us with that, which questions you could type in the chat box, and we are looking forward to that. So, without any more delays, we'd like to present to you our first speaker of the day, Dr. J.P. Agarwal. Dr. J.P. Agarwal is a neurologist from Darjeeling, India. He has a bachelor degree in science, a degree doctorate in alternative medicine, which includes Ayurveda, homeopathy, yoga, and naturopathy. He is the director of the Hans Herbal Private Limited Company, a herbal medicine factory in Haridwar, India. Dr. JP is an active motivational speaker. He travels regularly through India, Nepal, Bhutan, and other countries, conducting seminars and workshops on science and spirituality. He gives lectures in various colleges, universities, inspiring the youth to lead a balanced life with the help of physical science as well as metaphysical science. Dr. J.P. Agarwal emphasizes that the foundation of one's belief should be based on one's direct, practical experience for the best and the highest result in one's life. So now we would like to present to you Dr. J.P. Agarwal.
Welcome to everybody, aspirants and preemies, Jai Sachidanand, everybody. Today we have a very special topic, the consciousness. And actually, if you could understand the consciousness, our life will be full of happiness and peace. I remember the saying of Socrates. He says, "Man, know thyself." Actually, what he means to say is, we have forgotten ourselves. And we have forgotten that we are not body, but we are the self, the consciousness which is dwelling within us. That's our true form. I remember a story of a saint. His name was Swami Ram, Professor Ramtit. He was a professor, and he became a saint afterwards. So when he was meditating in the Himalayas, the king of that area, he came to know that a saint has come in this area and is practicing meditation. He went to see him, and he said, "Swamiji, you are welcome in this my kingdom in the Himalayas. You are meditating. But I have heard that there is a consciousness within us, which we call soul also, the self also. But I doubt whether it is true or not. Can you convince me logically that the consciousness, my true form is consciousness?" He said, "No problem. You come to me." The king was having a pen. The saint took his pen and asked, "Whose pen is this?" The king said, "This pen is mine." Please be serious. It's a very nice example. Then the saint said, "Oh, that means you are pen." The king said, "No, Swamiji, this pen is mine. I am not the pen." Okay. Then he touched the shirt of the king, and said, "What is this?" He said, "This is my shirt." "Oh, then you are shirt." He said, "No, no, this shirt is mine. I am not the shirt." King was wearing a watch. The saint touched his watch and said, "Your watch, whose watch is this one?" He said, "This watch is mine." "That means your watch." He said, "No, this watch is mine. I am not the watch." Then the saint took his hand, the king's hand, and said, "What is this?" He said, "This is my hand." "No, Swamiji, this hand is mine. I am not the hand." A slight irritation was also coming in the king. What type of this scent is? Then the scent touched his ears and said, "What is this?" He said, "This is my ear." He said, "That means you are ear." He said, "No, Swamiji, this is my ear." Then Swamiji said, "King, you are saying this thing is mine. My pen, my watch, my shirt, my hand, my nose, my ear, my brain, my mind. Everywhere you are using the word mine. If this thing is mine, that means you are not this thing. So if you are not, if all these things are yours, then what are you? Due to which you are saying that this is mine." And that is the self, that's the consciousness dwelling within us. And the problem in our human life, the greatest misfortune in our life, this human life is, we have forgotten that we are consciousness. We have forgotten ourselves. And that's why we are suffering. We unhappiness, sorrow, so many viruses and problems that are in our life, just because due to the ignorance of the self, ignorance of the consciousness. And that's why when some spiritual masters incarnate, when incarnations come in the world, like Rama, like Krishna, like Buddha, Christ, Muhammad, Nanak, hundreds of incarnations have come into the world. What they do, they awaken us, they inspire us to experience our consciousness. It's not that we have to just believe that we are consciousness. Believing is temporary. Experiencing is permanent. And once we experience our consciousness, we'll discuss how to experience the consciousness. Once we experience our consciousness, then we come to know what's our actual true form. And till then, we are slaves of this world, this Maya, this illusionary world. You know, one is the ruler and one is being ruled. Until and unless we realize ourselves, we experience our true form, the consciousness. We are slaves of this worldly illusion, what we call the Maya. And the day we experience ourselves, we become the ruler. The Maya becomes our slave. There's a Hindi verse, of course it is Hindi, but it's a beautiful one. Maya to ठगनी भई ठगत फिरत संसार जिस ठग ने ठगनी ठगी वो ठग को नमस्कार. That this Maya is defeating everybody. People are being defeated by this illusionary Maya, the illusion of the world. But the one who is victor, who has conquered this Maya, who has done victory over this Maya, is the super one. So what we have to do in this human life, we have to get victory over this illusionary Maya. And this is the day we do that, the day we experience our true form, we are the king of this, actually the whole universe. Actually, we are the master of the whole world. But because we have forgotten our form, so that's why we are suffering and we are not being able to enjoy this world. I put another story here. There was a cub, a lion's cub, and his mother was killed by some hunter. So when a person who used to keep sheep, he went to the forest and he found that cub, the small lion, so to say, and he brought it at home. And that small lion, the cub, he started staying with the sheep. When he was staying with the sheep, the lion, he grew with them and learned the habit of the sheep, doing, whispering like the sheep, meh, 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 and just totally he forgot that he's a lion. He grew up, now the gene was of a lion, so his body was different, he became a full lion, but still he used to feel that he's a sheep. And he goes to forest, be with the sheep. In this way, he was just spending his life. One day, a lion in the forest, he roared. And when the sheep heard that, it started running back. And the cub, who is now grown up lion, he also started running with them. The lion saw that there is a lion just like me, and he was also running with the sheep. He caught hold of the lion and said, "Why are you running with the sheep? You are the king of this. You are like me, the king of forest." He said, "No, no, no, I am not a lion. I am a sheep." He said, "You are a fool. You are a sheep. You are not a sheep. You are a lion." He said, "No, I am a sheep," because he has forgotten that he is a lion, being all the time with the sheep. The lion caught hold of him, took him to a pond and say, "You see your form." When that cub, he saw his original form in that pond water, the reflection, he was as surprised that his body is like the same lion who is standing near him. His body is not like the ship. He got confused that I may be a lion, I am not a sheep. But still he said, no, no, I am a sheep, I am not a lion. Why? He said, when you speak, your roaring is such a, mm, vast and such a big roaring is that. And when I speak, I utter a small sound, may. He said, this is because you have your habit, because of your habit. Come with me, I'll teach you how to bring your original habit. And he taught him to put his mouth in the, in the earth. And after some practice, the same roaring sound developed in that cub also. And then he came to know that I am a lion, not a sheep. When he saw his form in the pond water, and when he practiced, the original sound came up. Then he came to know that I am the king of this forest. I am not a sheep. I need not run away, but I can rule the whole forest. This is not only a story, it's a hypothetical story, maybe, but it's true that we are the ruler of this whole universe, but we have forgotten ourselves. And now, we have forgotten that we are consciousness. And now, how to realize that we are consciousness? The two things are required. We have to see ourselves. Energy manifests within us, the consciousness. Nowadays, there is a new branch, a special branch of science. We call it cognitive science. In cognitive science, now science is doing research on three things: the brain, the mind, and the consciousness. And these three things are vital in our human life, You see, if you see a factory, in factory there are thousands of laborers, but there is a management group also. And if the management group is perfect, the company will progress beautifully. But if the management group is not up to the mark, the company may suffer heavy losses. Similar is with this our life. In human life, all the organs are just like laborers, working organs, laborers. Management is done by these three things. These three things are vital in our life, the brain, the mind, and the consciousness. Brain is like, if you see a computer, brain is like the hardware, mind is like the software, and the consciousness is like the electric current. If the current is not there, the computer will not work. But if the current is there, the software is virus, it will not work properly. And if there is defect in the hardware part, then also it will not work properly. Similarly is with our life. Brain is the hardware, mind is the software, and consciousness is the power due to which this body is working. Now, there is a big confusion in intellectuals, I may say in science also. The philosophers have not been able to perfectly define the mind. They say mind and brain are almost same. Mind is only the thought that comes in the brain. But actually, brain is different, mind is different. And if you go deeper, mind does not have brain. Any energy, whether we see air energy, water energy, electrical energy, magnetic energy, energy can be used in a destructive way, it can be used in a constructive way. Both possibilities are there. Similarly, because the mind doesn't have brain, this mind can be used in a destructive way and also in a constructive way. When we can do that? When that energy is in our control. If the electrical energy, water energy, air energy is in our control, we can utilize it in a good way. If it is not in our control, it will be devastating. Same is with the mental energy. When the mind is in our control, we enjoy this life. If it is not in our control, life becomes hell. So these three things are important. Now, in these three things, if we take it in another way, if you go to the Upanishads, the Indian scriptures, what they say, they describe in a different way that this human body is like a car. You see, car may be a Mercedes one, or maybe a Toyota one, or maybe a simple car, expensive or non-expensive. That's a different matter. But this body is like a car, a vehicle. Consciousness, the soul, is the passenger sitting within us. It is doing nothing. It's just a witness to whatever is happening. And the brain is the driver, and mind is the steering. So it all depends upon the brain, the driver, to take the passenger to its destination. Passenger is the consciousness dwelling within his body, and brain is the driver. If the driver doesn't know where I have to, what is the destination, where I have to take this passenger, the passenger will be lost in the way. So the driver has to be perfectly trained, and if possible, a GPS system has to be fit in that vehicle so that the driver takes the passenger to his destination in required time. Because that this vehicle is not permanent. It has been given to us for a fixed time. And after that time, we have to leave this vehicle. And if by the time the driver could not take the passenger to his destination, he has to get out of the car in the midway, maybe in the forest, wherever, maybe a heavy suffering after that. So the important thing is the driver, the brain. And all these programs, what we do through Zoom, we read the scriptures, we listen to many discourses. All this help the brain to understand that why this soul has come in this human body. And people say human body is the greatest gift of God. Why? How it is that? If we see the power within this human body, the power in the animals is more stronger than ours. They can run faster than us. They are more stronger than us. Still, human being are called the crown of creation. The main thing is our brain. Science has accepted that there is no comparison of the human brain. It's a very, very unique, special brain has been given. But this brain was not to do the worldly things, what the animals are doing, what the other species are doing. This special brain was given to us to take this consciousness, the passenger, to its destination, and where it will attain infinity. Actually, the consciousness wants to attain infinity. And that's a common, that is God, what we call. You see, the word God, we use the word God. Actually, God is what the infinity. And so the part wants to merge with the whole and become whole. If a drop of water dissolves, merges in the sea, it becomes sea. Similarly, if we just, for example, take God as the infinite power, the day the soul merges in that, it becomes infinite. And that's what we read in mathematics. Infinity plus minus anything is equal to infinity. So the moment, that's what our destination. And that's the desire within us. There are some common desires which I would like to mention here. And these common desires are with everybody. The first desire is nobody wants to die. We want to be immortal. And this desire is within every human being, not that it's only in one. Whoever he may be, maybe a learned person or from a different country, different religion, whatever is that, this is a common desire, universal desire within everybody. Nobody wants to die. We want to become over, want to remain immortal. Second desire within everyone, all of us, is We want to know about everything. We want to become omniscient. We want to understand every aspect of the world, of this creation. Of course, it is not possible, but that desire is common within everyone. And the third desire is we want to always enjoy. We want to always want to be all the time happy. We can't. That's a different matter. But that desire is within all of us. The fourth desire is the fourth desire is we want to be independent. If somebody says, "I'll put you in a uh, prison and I'll give you seven-star facilities, what you enjoy in a hotel, in a big, multi-prison hotel, that facility you will get, but you will remain in prison. Nobody would like to have it. You'll say, I want to be free. I want to be independent. I can't remain in a prison." So that's the fourth desire within everybody. And then there is a fifth desire also. We want to be supreme, the best of everybody. And not even that, we wish that let everything, the whole world, the whole creation be in my control. Let me be the supreme power of this whole universe. These five common desires are within everybody. Why? We have not read in a book. Nobody has taught us. It's a natural, inherent desire in everybody. And this desire is being manifested through the mind by the consciousness. Because when the consciousness was part of that whole, when it was with the infinite, it had the infinity power. And so it was the king of the whole universe. Now, when it is a part, the same desire of to become infinite is within everybody. You see, the mind is not satisfied with anything of the world. See, big rich people like Bill Gates, like Muscarin, like Ambani's in India, they've got so much wealth, still they want to earn more. No one is satisfied with anything of the world, whether it's fame, whether it's money, anything of the world, whether it's strength. By anything, we are not permanently satisfied because the mind is craving for infinity. And this is not the desire of the mind, but it's the desire of the consciousness being manifested through the mind. And the day the consciousness attains infinity, our goal of life is fulfilled. So now how to attain infinity? When will the consciousness attain infinity? This is what Maharaji says. When the conscious is conscious of its own consciousness, it becomes super conscious. It attains infinity. He gives a very beautiful example. When you go to a salon, and when you go to a salon, sit on the chair and you see your faces. Can you count them? How many faces are there? You see infinite faces, your faces, because there is a reflection from both sides. One mirror is in front of you, one mirror is in back of you. So there is a continuous reflection with each other, and you see infinite images of yours. Similar is the spiritual aspect. The day the consciousness experiences itself in the mental mirror, it will attain infinity. So what we have to do? What we have to do? Suppose you have a mirror. That mirror is moving, unstable. It's not stable. You can't see your face. Even if it is stable, if it is, coated with thick mud, if there is too much dirt on that mirror, you can't see your face again. So the mirror has to be clean and mirror has to be stable. So the day the mind is totally stable, I'm using the word totally stable and clean, the soul will be able to experience itself, will be able to experience our true form, and that on that moment the soul attains infinity. The consciousness becomes super consciousness. So the main thing is for that experience, for attain infinity, we have to clean the mind of all the viruses that are in the mind. Now if there is a virus in a computer, and if you just say to the computer, "Oh, computer, you get your viruses out," the computer will not understand the thing. Okay, the computer will not understand the thing. What you have to do, you have to put an antivirus. So to clean the mind of the viruses, we have to learn a metaphysical meditation. The meditation in which there is neither use of the brain nor use of the senses, directly connect the mind with the energy, the soul within us. And that energy manifests within us in the form of sound and light. You see, we give the example of a lion. When the lion heard his own sound and saw his own form, he came to know, he realized himself that I am a lion, I am not a sheep. Similarly, the energy that manifests within us in the form of light, which say divine light, Bhargo Jyoti, many names we give to us, the spiritual light, and the primordial vibration, the sound within us, due to which we are alive. Simply, we call it the word, the holy name, the primordial vibration, different names we give. When both of these experiences are metaphysical, beyond the brain, beyond the senses, and we will meet a true spiritual master when he reveals us within us the true light, the divine light within us, and the primordial vibration. When through the mind we experience that primordial vibration and the light, and when we connect the mind to these two things, the two experiences of light and sound, then slowly the mind, the speed of the mind gets lower and lower, and one day it attains delta speed, which is a very, very low frequency speed. And the day it attains that speed, the mind becomes clean also and stable also. And that is the state of trance, what we call the state of trance. And on that moment, the soul will experience itself. And then it says, when Christ attained that state, he said, I and my Father are one. So, friends, in the end, I would request everybody that we should not only believe that we are consciousness, that will not be able to get away our sorrow and problems of life. What we have to do, this driver brain has to understand that we are consciousness, and that consciousness has to experience itself, and that can be done through that metaphysical meditation. I use the word metaphysical. This meditation every child practices even in the mother's womb. I've come through this miraculous conclusion. Not only the experience, and even the books also say this metaphysical meditation, the experience of the light and sound, a child in the last 3 months, he meditates, he practices this meditation. When he comes out, because logical brain was not developed, he forgets that. Slowly he gives up that meditation. So we have to search for a spiritual master, the one like Christ, like Krishna, like Rama, like Buddha, the one who can practically give us the experience of the energy within us, dwelling in the form of light and sound, and we will connect the mind to that energy practically by the grace of the spiritual master. Then, when we keep on practicing, a day will come, the mind will become totally clean and stable, and the conscious will reveal itself, experience itself, attain infinity, and that's the goal of human life. So I hope we should not only listen to these spiritual programs, we should endeavor, we should try to practically connect the mind with the energy dwelling within us, not through the brain, but directly through the mind. And then when we attain that state, That's the highest goal of all our life. So that's what Guru Nanak says, that meditate yourself and inspire others to meditate. Then slowly, certainly you will have salvation, you will reach your goal and you will attain infinity. Thank you everybody. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. JP Agarwal. That was a whole lot of information, and we are very delighted to have you on. What I really enjoyed is the part of the lion being in the company of sheep, forgetting who it is. And it's like we are spiritual beings, and we are in the company of mundane people, and unless and until we are being pointed by a spiritual being how to become spiritual, then we will keep doing what the sheep are doing. And it is incredible that you also explained about the desires that we have. Those are the 5 desires: to be immortal, to be all knowing, to have joy, to be independent, and to be supreme and the best in all. Those are actually the qualities that are innate in us because we have soul in us, because of the presence of God within us. And so that through the consciousness we can learn more about it is a very incredible sharing. Thank you so much for that. So we will continue now with the program, and we will have now our honors special guest, Mahatma Angirabaiji. Mahatma Angirabaiji is an enlightened soul from Haridwar, India. She is a disciple of Sri Satpalji Maharaj, spiritual saint of Manav Dharam organization. She has successfully provided spiritual enlightenment for the past three and a half decades in various parts of India, USA, South Africa, Kenya, New Zealand, Australia, and presently in Lucknow, India. Her main aim is to uplift humanity by rendering spiritual discourses on the essence of all scriptures and teaching spirituality to the aspirants. To be in the presence of Mahatma Angirabaiji is a great privilege, as Baiji will share with us of her deep, personal spiritual understanding and experience about consciousness. Without further ado, hear now Mahatma Angirabaiji.
My humble salutation to the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Greetings to all brothers and sisters who are participating on this spiritual awareness journey platform. Thanks to all members of this spiritual awareness journey program to giving me opportunity to highlight on the subject of consciousness. Today's topic is consciousness. Consciousness invites us to self-reflect, to understand our true self, to understand our true nature. What is our true nature? Is it just a body that came into this world with and that ages with time? Or is it mind that grows astute with intellectual only to evaporate at the time of death? Or is it emotion that change has frequently has been? Our saints and experienced soul says that consciousness is not limited to the mind and body. It is apart from the mind and body. It is known as the functioning in the mind and body. It is pervades and illumines mind and body. But at the same time, without the mind and body, consciousness is still there, but it cannot be known. Therefore, we need to know what is consciousness. We need to know what is our true self. There are seven states of consciousness. Among the seven states, the first three are experienced by all beings. They are waking, dreaming, and sleeping, which are come under the upper avidya, the knowledge of the world. They are experienced by the mind and body. But the last four states of consciousness are very essential and important in a human life. To understand and reach divinity, or to understand our true self, or to understand our true nature. Now I will explain about last four states of consciousness: transcendental consciousness, cosmic consciousness, God consciousness, and the seventh is unity consciousness. Transcendental consciousness means complete silence. In our daily hectic life, complete silence helps us to release stress and anxiety. Because the quality of transcendental consciousness is total bliss. Today, in the dark age where we see that each and every field competition is going on, and in that situation, our stress level, our anxiety level is always goes high. But if we learn the complete silence, then it can release our anxiety and our stress. Cosmic consciousness one can experience after regular practice of meditation. Because in this state, one can experience stability and it becomes permanent state of consciousness. After having continuous experiences of the fifth state of consciousness, one can enter the sixth state of consciousness, which is God consciousness or Christ consciousness, where one transcends thoughts and eventually reaches to self. It is very, very important to experience that state. But our saint says, this state is rare to get. It is not impossible, but it is difficult to reach to that state. It is not impossible because many saints and sages reached there and shared their experience in our scriptures, in our holy books. Therefore, everyone have the ability to reach this state. As we heard many times that everyone has potential to be perfect. We just need to recognize it. For that, we need guidance. Guidance from experienced souls, because they have experience and they can take us to that level. So I would like to request all viewers to think on it and start walking on the path of spirituality, which leads to our true nature, which leads to our true self. And to know our true self, we need to seek for that. The seventh and the last state of consciousness is unity consciousness. It is full awakening state, where two is actually one. What is the meaning of two is actually one? Saints say that myself is self of all. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is explaining in chapter 6, verse number 29, to his devotee Arjuna. Lord Krishna says that true yogis uniting their consciousness with God see with equal eye all living beings in God, and God is in all living beings. For example, during the festival of Diwali in India, shops sell sugar candy molded in various forms. Elephants, elephant form, woman form, car form, aeroplane, many other animals, etc. Children fight with their parents that they want a car or plane or any particular animals. The parents smile at their innocence, thinking that they are all made from same ingredients. They are equally sweet. Similarly, God exists in everywhere in the form of various energies. And Saint says there are no difference in things. And that is why to realize and experience this highest level, highest state of consciousness, one needs continuous spiritual practices. Continuous. Have the practice of meditation, because as higher state of consciousness opens, the whole system gets physically, mentally and spiritually elevated, and life truly becomes worth living. We begin to understand that we are more than the body, mind and emotion. We gain answers to all questions of life. That is why let us all learn how to do spiritual practices. Let us all know and learn thus meditation and make our life worthwhile. Unity consciousness perceives the whole universe as part of oneself. When we perceive the world as a part of us, love flows strongly between the world and us. This love empowers us to overcome the opposing forces and the disturbances in life. A higher state of consciousness will not simply happen one fine morning. It needs to be nurtured through spiritual practices. And that is why we all have to learn the techniques of meditation. Because through that, we will realize our true self. To realize the kingdom of heaven within yourself. To hold communion with the Lord in the chambers of our heart. To regain your lost divinity. To attain God consciousness and to attain the unity consciousness. To love all, you have to acquire the knowledge of self. And once you acquire the knowledge of self and you start practice on that, you start meditating, then you will realize your true nature. You will know your true self. And that is why let us all learn the techniques of meditation, and then we will understand the word consciousness. Consciousness is not just that we write or we read. It is totally realization. And to realize, we have to go within through spiritual practice, through meditation. Thank you very much. You all must think on it and walk on this spiritual path. I myself understood my true self after taking the shelter of my master.
Thank you so much, Mahatma Angirabaiji, for your very profound and deep explanation about consciousness. And it is incredible that before that we had the story of the lion, and that the lion reminds this cub who it is. And it seems like right now, from your speech, from what you shared, you reminded us that we are that spiritual being, that we have forgotten who we are. And this is our journey to know about this knowledge, to understand this knowledge, to realize it, so we can become that which we in essence truly are. And that the 7 consciousness that there are, those are all steps that we then have to experience through first receiving the spiritual knowledge. So we are very, very grateful for your coming and sharing this with us. And we are going to be ending our program now. So we have promised everybody that we will have some questions from the audience, which we will direct towards Dr. JPD. So we are opening the platform now, so you could type in your question. While we're waiting for that, we will pose a question that we received from the email to Mahatma Angirabaiji. Mahatma Angirabaiji, the question is, what is consciousness and what is the significance of it?
I'm glad to answer this question. From my spiritual experience, which I gained after practicing meditation techniques, consciousness is knowing oneself from the inside. It is awareness of the energy within us, which helps us to elevate our mind, body, and soul, to unite with Supreme Being. Uniting with the Supreme Being means individual soul merge into Supreme Soul, attain abode of Lord, and experience oneness with Lord. For example, when sugar mixed in the water and reached a level where it gets completely absorbed in it, which we call point of saturation, then no matter how hard one can try to separate it, but cannot separate from the water. Similarly, having the experience after knowing oneself from the inside, one can unite with Supreme Being. And this is the significance of consciousness. I hope you are satisfied with my answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Baiji. That is a very profound answer. And we definitely would like to then connect with you to have more understanding of that. And if anybody would like to know more about all that what Baiji is explaining, please do email Baiji to our spiritual awareness journey at gmail.com with your questions for her, and she will be able to contact with you. All right, thank you. So we receive a question for Dr. JPG from the audience. The question for Dr. JPG is how someone can differentiate between consciousness, intelligence, and intellect.
Actually, intellect that we say is our brain, and mind. Actual definition people give of mind is that whatever thoughts come in the brain, we may call it emotions and other things, that is the mind. But actually, it is not that. Mind is the activating medium. The energy of consciousness comes through the mind, and when the mind connects with the brain, then thoughts arise, plans arise, logics arise. All that happens when the mind is connected to the brain and the intellect works there. If we disconnect the mind, it will be, a type of vacuum. So the intellect that we say is the working of the brain, and consciousness is the energy due to which this system is working. The role of mind is like a charger, If you directly connect your mobile to the current, 240 watts current, it will explode. So what we do, we keep a charger, and that the charger takes that 240 watts, but passes on 2 volts, 2 to 4 volts, what is required to the mobile, and that will prevent us from being exploded. The energy within us is so powerful. When that energy is blasted outside, what a big explosion is there. We call the explosion of atom bomb. The same energy is within us, but this body is surviving because that energy is being contained by the mind, and the mind is passing that much energy which is required to this body. So actually, the definition that we should have and know is the three things: the brain, in which we have the intellect; the mind, the activating medium; and the power due to which this mind and the system is working, the consciousness. This is the actual difference that we have to understand. Nowadays, these philosophers have, psychologists have given different explanations and they are confusing. Actually, these are the three things working within us: the brain, the hardware we may call of a computer; mind, the software, because we have got so many, impressions in the mind of previous life or this present life, what we call the habits engraved in the mind. That's like the working of the software. And the viruses of ego, jealousy, so many viruses are there. They are engraved in the mind, and that disturbs the functioning of the hardware, the brain, the intellect. And the power behind all these things is the consciousness. So actually, this is the actual thing. And once we understand it, it becomes very easy what we have to do, how we have to do, and what's the purpose of life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. JPG. We have reached the end of our program, and we wish to thank you so much for your question. And thank you, Dr. JPG, for your very informative and insightful answers. We wish to thank our speakers, Mahatma Angirabaiji and Dr. JPG, for such a delightful and inspiring program. We hope episode 18 have stirred some curiosity in your heart to want to know more about spiritual knowledge and this amazing spiritual aspect of our own self, our own consciousness. When time permits, please do view any of the Spiritual Awareness Journey previous episodes of Season 1 and 2 on the Manav Dharam YouTube channel, where you can enjoy many topics like spiritual living, gratitude, habit cultivation, purpose of discipline, grace, and many more about the different aspects and integration of this practical spiritual knowledge in our daily living. I wish to thank you each for your presence here today on this spiritual platform. And our next Spiritual Awareness Journey program will be held on Saturday, November 20th, 2021. Our episode 19 will be on self-love, which is really fitting with what we just heard from Mahatma Angirabaiji, that when you become conscious of consciousness, then this love automatically flow and you become that love. So please join us then, and we would love to have you here, and mark the date on that calendar, and feel free to drop us a note with your comments. And if you have any questions for our guest, please email to us at spiritualawarenessjourney@gmail.com. Check the email address in the box. Thanking you all, especially our speakers, Dr. J.P. Agarwal and special guest Mahatma Angirabaiji. Thank you again for joining us today. Please be on the lookout for this episode video on the Manav Dharam YouTube channel very soon. And feel free to share with everyone. Thank you to our sponsor, Manav Dharam YouTube channel. And we are here again by November 2nd, so November 20th. So thank you so much for being here. And from all of us of the Spiritual Awareness Journey program, have a wonderful, delightful, conscious, joyous, and healthy day. Thank you. Bye.